chapter, that is food production and its management. Okay, we begin with this chapter and let's further continue this chapter. Okay, so far what are the topics we have discussed in this chapter? Yes, Ahmed? So far we talked about
plowing, tiling,
what?
cultivating, plowing, tiling, cultivating, and
Yes.
protection
Okay,
of seeds, sowing.
very good. So we basically discuss the steps of farming in brief, and we are discussing each part in detail here, right? Okay, so we already talked about
Yes, sir.
how to prepare the soil. Preparation of soil basically means
Yes, sir.
loosening the soil. Okay, we need to loosen the soil so that soil receives all the components required for the plant to grow. Okay, soil needs moisture, air, and growth of humus to create a very good environment, to create a suitable environment for the growth of plants, right? Okay,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So few questions which we discussed earlier, let's revise them quickly. Okay, see question number 1. What is livestock? We discussed in the previous class, in the first class. What are
Yes, sir.
livestocks?
Livestocks are
See, alongside farming, farmers domesticate certain animals also, like sheep, which gives them wool, and the meat is also consumed. They also domesticate cattle, which provides them with milk, and they make many other products from milk. So alongside farming, they domesticate the animals also. So the domesticated animals, they are called livestock. So remember, agriculture is not just about farming. It's not just about planting the crops. It's also about livestock. Okay. So agriculture includes two things. One is what? Planting of the crops. Okay. Another one is domesticating animals, which are beneficial for humans. Okay. So livestock is also part of what? Agriculture. Okay. Name one worm that is called friend of farmer.
friend of farmer, war,
There's a hint for you.
slug,
The picture of that worm is in the screen. You can see the picture of the worm on the screen.
earthworm.
Earthworm. You see, earthworm are called farmer's friend. Oh, can you see? Can you define the reason behind this? Why
Uh,
earthworms are called farmer's friend?
I,
Okay, where do they live?
they live
On
in
the
the soil.
in the soil. Very good. So when they are living the soil, it's obvious that they will travel in the soil also. They will do movement inside the soil also. Okay. So while they are moving inside the soil, they are actually creating spaces between the soil particles. Okay, and through that spaces, water can percolate into the water. Air can reach there. Okay. So when the soil has got air in it, air pores in it, if the soil is like this and there are spaces between soil particles, so what will happen? Water and air will reach into that space, and that water and air is basically going to the plants. Okay. So in this way, earthworms helps create spaces into the soil and they help the plants to grow. That's why they are called farmer's friend. Yes, am I audible
Yes, sir.
properly? Okay. Now coming back to our chapter. So today we are going to talk about the next practice after preparation of soil, after we have loosened our soil. Next thing you need to do is the sowing of seeds. Okay.
Yes.
Now, what does the
Yes, sir.
sowing of seeds mean? Sowing basically means
Planting
planting the
planting
seeds.
seeds in the soil.
Exactly.
In the soil.
Planting the seeds in the soil is called sowing. Okay. So what do we say? Sowing. It is the planting of seeds into the soil. Okay. Now, can we just select randomly any kind of soil, any kind of seed, and plant them into the soil?
No, sir.
No, we have to select seeds of good
Quality.
quality, right? Seeds that are disease free. Okay, seeds that are disease free and seeds that are of good quality. Okay, so we need to
Yes,
check
sir.
for their purity. If they are whether infected by some germ or or fungi. Okay, seeds also gets destroyed by fungal infection also. So we need to check for its purity, whether the soil is infected by germs, infected by germs, or whether they are infected by fungus or there's some bacteria on it. So we need to check for its purity. Okay, and how
Yes,
do
sir.
we see, how do we determine if the seed is pure or not? Just by looking at it, you will able to tell whether the soil is infected or not. If they are infected by germs, bacteria, or fungus, they will either be eaten up or their color would have been either yellowish or blackish color. Okay. Resistance to
Yes, sir.
diseases and pests. Nowadays, we have developed high yielding variety seeds, HYV seeds, that are high yielding variety of seeds. Okay, high yielding variety of seeds, meaning that those particular type of seed, if I plant that into the soil, that will grow into a plant that will carry more amount of seeds. Got the meaning?
Yes, sir.
That YV
Yes,
seeds,
sir.
they have an advantage that if I plant them inside the soil, they will grow into a plant that will carry more seeds or more fruits or flowers. Okay, that are
Yes, sir.
modified seeds which are made into the laboratory. Now, germination and vigor. We also check for in what we also check for how much time the seed takes to germinate. There are some seeds of low quality that will take almost 2 to 3 weeks just to germinate, and there are seeds like HYV, high yielding variety seeds, that will germinate in a couple of days or in 1 or 2 days just. So that germination period also has to be checked. Now, what does germination mean here? What is the meaning of germination?
Growing.
It's the growing of
Growth.
seeds.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
very good. Germination, it is the process in which the seed germinates. Okay, germinates meaning what? The root radicule, the radicule from where the root arises comes out of the seed. Like if you plant the seed into the soil and you observe it after 1 or 2 days, you will see that the roots starts coming out of the seed. Let's say this is a gram seed. Gram what? That is a
Yes,
chana
sir.
which we consume. So if you sow a gram seed into the soil, after 1 day or 2 days, you will find roots arising out of it. So why this root actually came out of this? Why? Because this seed was getting moisture from surrounding and it was exposed to air also. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So for germination, seeds need moisture, air, and this seed has some pre-stored nutrients in it. This soil has got pre-stored nutrients in it. What do I mean? When this seed was still attached to the plants, the plant provided the seed with some nutrient, and that seed stored that nutrients in it. Understood what I'm saying?
Yes,
For
sir.
this seed to grow also, it needs some energy. Where will this seed get energy from? From the nutrients that was stored in it earlier. There's some
Okay, sir.
pre-stored nutrient in it
Yes,
that it
sir.
utilizes to grow further. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, so germination and vigor has also to be taken into consideration here. Vigor basically means the time that is taken to germinate. Suitability to regional climatic conditions. Now, there are some regional factors also. Like if you were to plant a seed in a desert area, okay, there are high chances that that seed will not germinate. Why? Why is it so, Ahmed? Why
Yes,
that
sir.
seed will not germinate? If I plant a seed into a desert, in a desert,
Because sir, desert has no water.
desert has no water, soil will be that seed will be getting air but no moisture. So climatic factors also play a role in the germination of the seed. Now if I were to plant the same seed into water, in a water body, will that grow into a plant? In, the obvious answer is no. If you simply plant a seed into a water body, there are high chances that it is not going to germinate. The reason behind this is what? The seed will simply rot. That seed will start to rot. Let's say this is a water body. It could be a lake or a pond. If I were to put this same seed, the same chana into a lake or pond, it will start to rot after some time. Why? Because it needs a soil medium. It needs soil where it will germinate. It will not germinate into a water. Right, Ahmed? So suitability to regional climatic conditions also play a role here. Okay. So while selecting the seeds, these are the four things which we consider before buying the seeds. Okay. So farmers check whether the seeds are pure or not, if they are infected or not. Okay. They also check about their resistance to diseases, whether that seed will be resistant to any diseases or not. You must have heard in news that the cropland of farmers got infected by an unknown bacteria or unknown virus, and whole of their crop got damaged. So that has also be to be checked, right? Now germination time, they also consider that. Okay. Suitability to regional climatic condition which we were discussing, so that also has to be considered.
Mm.
Okay. Now next is the tools for sowing. What are the tools which we use to sow the seed? Tools for sowing. Okay. So you must have, earlier the farmers used to take help of furrows. Now what were furrows? Furrows were structures like this. Okay. There was a funnel shape from one side, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And this was the structure to which it was attached. Okay. So from one
Yes.
side, seeds were put into it. Okay. Seeds were put
Yes,
into
sir.
this funnel. And from the another side, the seeds via this pipe came directly to the pointy mouths of this object here, you can see. Okay, those
Yes.
seeds are coming from here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, as this structure was moved across the field, you can see at equal distance, the seeds are being sowed into the ground. Right, Ahmed?
Mm-mm.
So earlier farmers used to
Yes, sir.
take help of furrows. Nowadays we have got seed drills. We have got seed drills. which are machines. Okay, so seed drills are basically attached to the back of the cultivators. Okay, see the cultivator here. Yeah. See here, this is a seed drill here. Yes, Ahmed. Pay attention
Yes, sir.
to this image here. Now, the structure
Yes, sir.
which I'm underlining here, to this structure, basically it was filled with the seeds. Okay, this container is containing so many
Okay.
seeds in it. Okay, and here you
Seed.
can see it is
Yes, sir.
attached to the bottom. Okay, these structures. Okay,
Yes.
so the seeds from this container, it came to here. Okay, and at equal distance, the seeds were being planted into the soil. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Now, the first, see the first image,
Yes.
how sowing is done manually. A plough is being pulled by the oxes here, and they used to put in seeds in this structure. See, funnel-like structure here. This funnel-like structure, seeds are being poured manually
Yes,
into
sir.
it. See, this man is carrying a pouch of seeds in his hand, and he is manually putting the seeds into this funnel. And via this funnel, let me underline this. Via this funnel, the seeds are coming to the mouth of this object. Right? Seeds reach here.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So sowing earlier it was done
Yes, sir.
manually. Okay. Now we have developed machines like seed drills. Okay. So they are used along with the tractors. So they basically attach this seed drill to the back of the tractor. So there's no manual labor required here. Right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now let's compare the effectability. Which one is going to be more effective? The one in which we are using furrows, or the one in which we are using seed drills? Obviously the
Seed drills.
second one. Exactly, obviously the seed drill, right? Because it replaces man
Yes,
labor, and large piece of land can be planted with seeds in a very small time. Okay,
yes, sir.
so they are better because they sow seeds uniformly also. Uniformly means at equal distances seeds are being planted into the soil. While in the case of manually sowing, seeds can be not sowed, not planted at equal distance. There might be that the case like this. It might look like this, that so many seeds are planted at one side, and at some distance only one or two seeds are planted. Okay, so unequal
Yes,
distribution
sir.
of seeds will be seen when you will plant them manually. Okay,
Yes, sir.
now one more question is, why proper distancing between seeds is necessary, which we just discussed. Like with the help of seed drills, we can plant the seeds at equal distance. Why this equal distance is so important here? Think of the answer.
Um, because the plant will grow big.
Okay, be specific in your answer, Ahmed. Okay, first thing is that so that plant gets proper sunlight. Plant gets proper sunlight.
Proper.
Okay, because plants basically make their food in the process of photosynthesis, by the process of photosynthesis, with the help of sunlight. So if you plant the seeds very closely, what will happen? They will grow closely, and their leaves will shade each other. Okay, because of that, both the plants will not be receiving enough sunlight. Okay, if the plants grow very close to each other like this, in this case, what will happen? The plants will not be getting enough sunlight. Okay, so they need to be planted at some distance so that they get equal amount of sunlight. So proper sunlight, to ensure the proper sunlight, we plant them at some distance. Now think of another reason. Think of one more reason here. Proper distribution of water. Proper distribution of water, right? So if I plant the two seeds at proper distance, when they become into a proper plant, into a bigger plant, they will be able to get equal share of water, right? If I were to plant
Sir.
these two seeds very closely, what will happen? They will not be getting equal share of water, right,
Yes, sir.
Ahmed? Okay. No. So
Yes,
second
sir.
reason is that proper distribution of water has to be ensured here. Now think of one more reason why we
Yes.
plant them at distance.
Enough fertilizers, proper
Yeah.
fertilization.
Okay. Proper fertilization. Okay, that is also a reason. Okay. We say proper fertilizer distribution. Okay, can also be a reason, so that both the plants gets proper amount of fertilizer. One more reason is there. Okay, proper root growth, right? Proper root growth is also important here, right? If I plant the two seeds very closely, when they will grow into plants, their roots will overlap into each other, right? They will overlap each other like this. They will be overlapping each other. So due to this also, there will be obstruction in their growth. To ensure their proper growth also, we keep them at distance, so that they see so that their roots do not overlap each other, right? Okay, so these are the four
Yes,
basic reasons why we ensure the plantation of seeds at distance.
yes, sir.
Now one more thing is, let's say I give you two bags of seeds. Okay, let's say I give you two pouches of seeds.
Yes, sir.
This is your pouch number 1 and this is your pouch number 2. In one of the pouches there are healthy seeds, in one of them there is unhealthy seeds. How will you physically check
Yes, sir.
and tell me that which one is healthy and which one is not healthy?
By num- the the good looking seeds are healthy and the bad looking are unhealthy.
Okay, what other method will you use? Suppose you can't tell just by looking at the seeds if they are healthy or not. They might have been hollow inside. From their outer surface they look healthy, but inside they're hollow. Then how will you see then how will you determine which one is healthy or not?
By touching them.
By touching them. Look, the most convenient method to determine whether the seeds are healthy or not: take a bowl of water, take 2 bowl of water, and take 1 spoon, or take some amount from this one or take some amount from this one, and dip both of them into the bowls here.
Yes,
Okay,
sir. Mm.
if the seeds start to float, let's say in bowl 2 in bowl 2 the seeds start to float, what would you say about the quality of the seeds? Is it healthy or unhealthy?
Unhealthy.
They will be unhealthy. Why? Because unhealthy seeds, they will be eaten up by bacteria, worms, or insects, so their weight will decrease, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
that is the method to determine the quality of the seeds here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now while sowing the seeds, apart from ensuring them to be planted at some distance, what other measure shall we take? Like one thing, we ensure that they should be planted at proper distance. One more thing you must ensure, that the seeds are planted at a proper depth. Okay, it should not be, it should not be just above the ground, or it should not be planted too deep into the soil. It has to be planted at a proper depth so that it gets the sun, so that it gets moisture, so that it gets air and the nutrient from that fertile soil also. Okay, Ahmed?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so here's some important lines given here. Read them. Seeds are healthy and of high quality. Now read the second paragraph here.
They are planted at a correct distance from each other so that they can get proper light, water, and nutrients from soil. They must be sown deep enough to protect them from animals and birds which might eat them, and wind which might blow them away, but not so deep that they may not get enough air to germinate.
Exactly. If we, if you plant them, if you plant them on above the ground, they might get blown away by wind or might get eaten up by some bird or animal. If we plant them too deep into the soil, sunlight will not reach them, air will not reach them, water will not reach them. In that case, the seed will die. It will not be fit for germination. Right, Ahmed? So
Yes,
at
sir.
proper depth, the seeds will be getting air, water, and sunlight. Okay,
Yes, sir.
air, water, and sunlight. These are the necessary elements for the seed. Okay. Now, why it is better to sow seeds uniformly? We already discussed that. So that to avoid the overcrowding of plants. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
planting them at distance allows the plant to get proper sunlight as well as sufficient water and nutrients from the soil. Okay.
Sir.
So that's it about the sowing. Remember, sowing is what? It is the practice of planting the seeds into the soil. What are the tools which we use for sowing? One is the furrows, another one is the seed drill.
Yes, sir.
Okay, nowadays the modern method of planting the seeds is by taking help of seed drills. And where the seed drills are attached, they are attached to the back of tractors. Okay, back of cultivators. Okay. Now, we also talked about
Yes,
the
sir.
proper distancing, which basically is to ensure proper sunlight distribution, proper distribution of water, proper distribution of fertilizers, and proper root growth. Right. Now, how do you determine
Yes, sir.
whether the seeds are healthy or not? By dipping them into the water. Okay. If they float above the water, it means that they are unhealthy and not fit to be planted into the soil. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. And to also ensure proper root growth. Okay. Now, few questions from the previous class. Do tell me what are humus? Few questions for
Humus.
you. Yeah. What are humus?
What are okay, sir. Um,
What do you mean by humus?
yes, sir. Humus is mm,
Just stress a little bit. We have discussed this twice or thrice in our previous class.
yes, sir. Humus is uh plants
One hint for
drops
you.
leaves. Uh,
There's one hint for you. Humus increases the fertility of the soil. Okay. So humus
okay,
increases the fertility of the soil. Do tell me what are its component gonna be?
sir. Humus is formed when plants and animal decay.
Very good. So
And
humus are basically the decaying matter of plants and animals. What else? What about the bacteria,
yeah,
insects, and worms living inside the soil? Are they not part of humus? They are
they
also
are.
part of humus, right? So
Yes,
humus
sir.
are basically decaying matter,
Yes,
decaying
sir.
matter that might either come from animals or plants. From plants, it might be
Yes,
in
sir.
the form of leaves, right? Or dead plants simply. Okay. Or vegetable peels. Okay. From plants, it might be their dung or their urine or the basic or basically the dying organism. Okay. What else?
Yes, yes,
The living organism inside the soil, like the bacterias. Okay.
sir.
Bacterias. Further, you will learn about a bacteria that fixes nitrogen into the soil. Okay. So there are nitrogen fixing bacteria also in the soil. Nitrogen fixing bacteria. Okay, Ahmed.
Yes, sir.
So bacteria are
Yes,
also
sir.
part of humus. Apart from this, we have got several insects and worm. Which worm I'm talking about here? Is it the tapeworm or the roundworm or the earthworm?
The earthworm.
Earthworm, exactly. Okay. So these things constitute part of the humus. Okay. So if someone asks you what is humus made up of, you will simply tell that it is made up of the dead and decaying living organism and some living organisms. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, since we have completed the procedure of sowing, what next do we have to do now? After you have prepared your soil, then you have sowed the seed in it. What next we have to do? We need to add manures and fertilizers to the soil. Right.
Yes, and we have to
Now,
barb.
exactly. We need to add manures and fertilizers. What are the difference between the two? What is the difference here in between the two?
Fertilizers are man-made and manures natural.
Okay, very good. Natural, basically we take organic compound in the case of manures. For fertilizers, we basically take chemicals. Okay, manures are also
Yes,
not naturally present in environment. Humans create them, humans made them. Okay, so let's have a look at both of them. Okay, we discussed them previously also. Take a look here. So manure looks like this. See this picture here. It looks like farm waste. Okay, it looks like there are components of
dung.
yeah, cow dung can be seen here. It also looks like some dead leaves and dead stems are here. So it's all basically waste from the farm. Okay, waste from the farmland. And see in the next picture, you have got a picture of a fertilizer. See the quantity, in how minute the quantity of fertilizer this man is holding. Okay, and if you compare the nutrient content, the fertilizer will win here. Fertilizer will be having more nutrient than this manure, which seems to be in bulk amount. Okay, Ahmed. Now, if we talk about the process of
Yes,
their preparation, so for preparation of manure, we simply take cow dungs, urine, farmland waste, leaves, vegetable peels, etc. We basically dug a very big pit into the ground. We put all these waste into the soil, into that pit. We cover them with some leaves and bushes, and after a period of 1 month or 2 months, we will see that this whole waste has converted into manure. Okay, so the mass of the manure is it will be very reduced. It will be of very tiny. It will be very tiny mass. Okay. Suppose if you took 100 kg of waste, 100 kg of waste, when it will get transformed into manure, its weight might be somewhere around 10 kg only. Okay. So to
Yes, sir.
produce to make manure, you have to take huge amount of waste. Now
Yes.
see the next picture. Here is a picture of a fertilizer industry. So to prepare fertilizer, we need the raw materials. What are the raw materials to prepare fertilizer? It's just chemicals. So we need certain chemicals to prepare fertilizers. Right, Ahmed? Ahmed, your voice is not clear.
Oh, so how about now?
Yeah. So, yes, Ahmed. So the raw materials required to prepare fertilizers are what? They are the chemicals. And see in how minute
Yes.
quantities they are prepared. By minute quantity, I basically mean that little amount of fertilizer will be containing much more amount of nutrients as compared to manures. Okay. And to prepare manure, as you just saw, that bulk amount of waste is required. While to create fertilizer, we do not require bulk amount of waste. We simply require certain chemicals and it will be produced. So some examples of fertilizers are NPK fertilizers. Okay, NPK. Here N stands for what? It stands for nitrogen.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Ahmed. P stands for what? Phosphorus. And K stands for potassium. Okay. Now, just as we humans also require certain nutrients, like we required, what are the nutrients required by human body? It is carbohydrate, right? It is
Yes, sir.
vitamins. Okay, it is proteins, fats. These are the nutrients which our body require. So plants also require certain nutrients, and these nutrients might be nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium. These are the main nutrients required by the plants. There are some other nutrients also which are required by plants in tiny amounts, in minute amounts. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. Now, so we were talking about adding manures and fertilizer. That is the next step. Okay. Now, out of manure and fertilizer, we clearly see that fertilizer are the better ones here.
Yeah, yes, sir. But
Fertilizers are the better ones, but
for
it comes
with disadvantages.
exactly. It comes with certain disadvantages also. So fertilizers wins with manures in the race of having more nutrients. Okay. While there are certain demerits of adding fertilizers also. Okay. Here
Yes,
it
sir.
is winning than manure, but there are certain demerits of using fertilizers. So what are the demerits here? Yes, Ahmed. Ahmed, see there's some background noise. Okay, check that. So what are the demerits of adding fertilizers to the soil? Like we already know that there are some living organisms like insects, earthworms, and certain good bacteria which live inside the soil. So if we add excess amount of fertilizers, what will happen? Those life inside the soil will die. Okay, so
Yes,
it's
sir.
it's threatening to living organism inside the soil, threatening to life inside the soil. Okay, what else? Let's say if someone adds excess amount of fertilizer into the soil and there is a rainfall there in that particular area. Okay, so why that rainfall water, the excess amount of fertilizers will run off into the nearby water bodies. Suppose this is a piece of a farmland here. Okay, Ahmed. In it there are crops.
Yes, sir.
If I were to add excess amount of fertilizer in it, and let's say there is a rainfall on the region, there is a rainfall. So if you
Yeah.
add excess amount of fertilizer, what will happen? Those fertilizers will run into the nearby water bodies, right? This is a, let's say, lake.
Yes, sir.
So that fertilizer are running into this lake. So is it are the fertilizers good for the life thriving inside this lake? Thriving means living.
No, sir. जी अभी चल
It
रही
is
है
not good.
नहीं हुई है
Okay. So basically the fishes and the aquatic plants, they will die due to this fertilizer, right? So there are two demerits of using fertilizer. Like it is life threatening for the organism living inside the soil. Another one it Another demerit is that it is harmful for fishes and aquatic plants, for fishes and aquatic plants,
Yes, sir.
right, Ahmed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now if you keep on continuously using fertilizer on the same piece of land, what will happen? That the humus of that land will be completely exhausted. If you keep on using
Add fertilizer.
fertilizers year after year for the same piece of land, the humus will deplete.
Yes, sir.
Humus will deplete. Okay, so these are the three main advantages of using what fertilizers. Now, if we were to talk about manures, so manure also comes with some advantages while some disadvantages. Manures, we know they are basically organic, organically made nutrients for plants. Okay. Now, since the word comes here organically, so anything that is organically, which is made organically, it is not going to harm the nature. Okay, so it is good for the nature. So it is
Yes, sir.
good for nature. Right. So talking about their advantages, one is good for nature.
Nature.
Another one is it does not deplete the humus content of the soil. In fact, it increases the humus content of the soil. It helps in increasing the humus content of the soil, right?
Yes, sir.
If you simply add the farm waste on your crop land, what will happen? More worms will feed on that. More worms will feed on that waste. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so good for nature, does not deplete humus of the soil. Okay. Another thing, increases fertility. Fertility of what? Soil. Okay.
Soil. Yes, sir.
Right. Now, what are the disadvantages here? List some disadvantages of using manure over fertilizer.
Yes, sir.
List some disadvantages of using manure over fertilizer.
Sir, fertilizers are usually made in factories, so it has excessive waste.
It has excessive waste. No. The question to you is that what are the disadvantages of using manure over fertilizer? So you see, manure, to create manure, we need bulk amount of waste. Okay. Another thing apart from using bulk amount of waste, it is also time consuming procedure to make fertilizer. While fertilizer can be made in just a day, In the case of manures, you need almost a month to create manure. Okay, so one thing is that bulk amount of waste is required. Okay, and even when you have got the manure prepared, it contains less amount of fertility in it. Okay, meaning that it contains
Yes, sir.
less amount of nutrients in it, contains lesser
Yes,
amount
sir.
of nutrients than fertilizer. What else? It is a time consuming procedure to make manure, right? It's a
Yes, sir.
time consuming procedure. Okay, okay. So Ahmed, have you been taking notes of the class? Have you been making notes of the class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So, in parallel to our class, which is going on, you also make notes for the topics which we discuss in the class. Like today, for example, we talked about the practices of sewing. We talked about what are the methods of sewing, what are the tools which we use to sew, and we talked about fertilizers and manures, their differences. So make note of all the topics in your class notebook so that when I take your exam and when there is an exam in your school, it will be convenient for you to revise the topics. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So regarding to in regard to today's class, is there any confusion or question you would like to ask?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Very good. Okay. So far we have talked about preparation of soil and so far we have talked about three things here. One is the preparation of soil, right? Preparation of soil.
Yes, sir.
Another thing we have discussed, sowing, its method, the tools, and how to sow the seeds. Third one is manure and fertilizers. Okay, so these three things we have discussed so far in the chapter. Okay, now do tell me what do you mean by leveling? Leveling, Levelling. What is this thing? What is this method? Leveling of leveling of soil. Why is it necessary?
We level the soil and the seeds to the seeds below.
Leveling of soil basically is a procedure in which bigger crumbs of soil are broken into smaller pieces. Right. So to create uniformity in the soil, we basically broke them. Why the help of a leveler? Why the help of a leveler? Okay. So on the back of, let's say this is a truck here. Okay, that's a rough diagram. So on the back of a truck, a wooden log is attached via ropes. This is a wooden log. Okay, a big round wooden log. So when it is rolled onto the ground, all the bigger chunks of soil particles gets broken down into smaller pieces. Okay, so that is basically leveler. That is the wooden log. That is called leveler. Okay, I hope that's clear. Okay, Ahmed. So
Yes, sir.
currently this chapter is going on in your school as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do tell me which chapter has been started in maths?
Chapter number 2.
Chapter number 2. Currently, which exercise is going on?
Exercise 1.2. 2.2.
1.2 is
2.
going on. Okay. So
Yes.
did you completed the assignment, maths assignment? Have you completed that?
No, sir.
No, not yet. Complete that. Okay. Complete that. Tomorrow is going to be holiday. Tomorrow is Friday.